Yeah. So this we have seen on previous classes, right? So we have a meta store, then we have a catalog, right? And then we have a schema, then we have tables. So in Databricks, like what is delta table, that we will understand today. What are the properties of the delta table, right? And then we will understand what is managed table and unmanaged table. Okay, managed table and external table in Databricks. So I will try to cover delta table today, and then I will share a recordings with you guys, so that yeah, so if you are able to cover delta tables, and then if you have a time during the weekend to go through the managed table and unmanaged table, that you can practice. Otherwise I will anyways teaching going forward, right? So the idea today is to understand what is delta table, and also get overview about what is managed table and unmanaged table in Databricks. So mainly in today's and coming classes, we will general understand the tables in Databricks. What is delta tables and what is managed table and unmanaged table in Databricks? That is what we'll understand today. Okay, so let's go forward, and then I will open a Databricks. So first of all, like delta tables are the delta table in Databricks is, it is a default table. So first of all, whenever you create a delta table, whenever you write create table in Databricks, it creates delta tables, right? It's a default table. It's a default table in Databricks. What are the properties of the delta table? You can time travel in delta tables, which means you can you can refer to previous versions. Okay, and uh, also you can see like what are the operations, what are the different operations has been made in delta tables, right? Then you can also, who has modified your delta table, who has modified your delta tables, means you can understand like what are the operations has been made. You can time travel, you can also understand who has modified the delta tables, right? So it's basically keeping track of everything, right? And at the same time, delta table is always been stored in the parquet format with delta properties. It is being stored in parquet data format with delta properties. What I mean by delta properties is you can, so all of the above properties, which is like you can time travel, you can see different operations, you can modify the delta tables and all of those properties. Okay. Now what I will do, I will this all of these properties will make more sense once I show all of this to you guys, right? So once I show you all of this, it will make more sense. So what I will do now, is I will try to create a simple notebook through which I will try to give you the feel of it so that it makes sense to you, right? So previously I have shared a particular DBC file with you guys. If you get chance to use that, so did you try importing that DBC file in your community edition workspace in the past for the mounting and all of that? Have you tried that? Okay. So I guess Rajna is saying, yeah, he has imported it. What about you? Yes, have you imported that?
I did Abhishek. Community edition, yes, I did. Log in it.
Okay, so previously I have given a DBC file with to you guys for the previous classes, and please try importing that particular DBC file. Right, so this is the DBC file which I have given, in which all the codes are present. Right, so you have this delta table processing code, you have this mount code, all of that, right? So mount thing we have seen it in the past, how to mount a container and then how to read a file after mounting it, that we have done, right? So I will try to do the same thing today. First of all, we will mount it, we will read the file, and then we will create a delta table, and then we will see the properties of the delta table which we have discussed. Okay, that we will see one by one. So first of all, let me create a cluster. Okay, so before that, I will just try to go through this PDF as well till the time cluster is starting. So we are learning delta tables, right? Right now we are learning delta tables, right? And this, so we need to also understand what is delta lake. Delta lake is basically being made by using delta tables. Okay, when you store your delta tables in data lake, which we have seen in the past, right? So when you store delta tables in data lake, that makes it a delta lake, right? So what is delta lake? Delta Lake is an open source project that enables building a data lake house on top of a existing storage system. So what is our existing storage system in case of Azure? It is your Azure storage account, okay? On top of a existing storage system. Delta Lake is not a proprietary technology. It is not a storage format. It is not a storage medium, right? It's not a storage format. It's not a proprietary technology. It's not a storage medium, right? It's not a data warehouse. It's not a database service, right? What is this? It's basically builds upon standard data formats optimized for cloud object storage, built for scalable metadata handling, right? It is open source. It's built on standard data formats. It's a cloud object storage. It's for the metadata handling, right? Now, one more thing which is also important to understand. Let me open this PDF. So, what it solves, Delta Lake. So, whenever we are learning something, what problem Delta Lake solves, right? So that also we need to understand, right? So in data lake, whenever you store the data in the data lake, right? So in very, very simple terms, when you store the data in data lake, you can you can store structured and unstructured both data in data lake, right? But when I ask you that, yeah, so the pros of data lake is you can store structured and unstructured data both. But the con of the data lake is what you cannot do in data lake. You cannot define the schema and maintain proper data type, right? Maintain proper data type. There are many cons, but like just now I'm trying to elaborate this con so that it's basically very clear, because this particular con you can understand, right, very easily, that you can store unstructured structured data both, but you cannot maintain the proper data type in data lake. And in data warehouse, what you can do in data warehouse, the pros of data warehouse is you can you can basically define the schema and also you can define the schema, right? But the con of the data warehouse is um, you cannot store any kind of data, right? But if you use data lake, which is built on data lake, on top of a which build on top of data lake, right? You can store structured and unstructured data, and also you can define this, right? So that is what is being explained here, right? So like data lake and data warehouse, it solves the problem of both of them, an approach of bringing the data management data governance to data lake, better reliability with transaction. Yes, Rachna.
So Abhishek, you were saying in data warehouse you cannot store any kind of data Can you explain a little bit more on that side?
Like data warehouse, you can con is you can any kind of data. What I mean by you cannot store, you can only store
Structured data.
structured data. Data. You can only store structured data. You cannot store like unstructured data. That is what I mean. Is it clear now, Rachna? Any kind of data is in like sorry for
Yes,
yeah,
yeah,
it was my sentence was best confusing. Sorry for that. But yeah, what I meant is you can only store structured data.
got it.
Okay, so that is the problem which Lakehouse solves, and I will send you one more picture which I got. Let me see if I can find it. Which was a good uh, explanation of these things what we are doing. So see. Hmm. So yeah, send you guys a yeah. So previously there was like data storage, right? External operational data storage. You have a data ETL, and then you basically make data marts, and then you consume those data points in the Power BI report and do all of this, right? Now, in back like when we don't have this data lake and all of that, what we used to do, we used to push all of that to the data lake. We run the ETL, right? And then after running the ETL, we used to store all of this data in proper like a SQL storage and proper databases, and then we used to make reports. Now we can push the data directly to data lake, and in top of data lake itself in different layer we can make, so you don't need to push, you don't need a proper RDMS or SQL data warehouse. Now what you can do is on top of a data lake itself you can make your structured transaction layer, and then if you want you can do stream analytics, you can do data science, you can do machine learning, you can do Power BI as well. So in data lake itself, like you can do everything, right? So it's a one stop solution that on data lake itself you can build your structured transaction layer, and then you can do everything, which is like a lake house, right? So that is what the extra benefit it gives you. Okay, now let's
So
go to
Abhishek, question is,
yeah.
you don't have to create any like SQL database or anything. Can you go back to the diagram which you were talking about?
Yeah.
So if we see the difference on the data lake and lake house, I don't like we don't see data mat. So that means data where the data will be stored in a data lake, just like in the files, like Parquet files, and then we run when then we do the structure transaction layer and do the analytics on top of it. Before, like you need to bring them into some sort of a structured form, and then only you can do reporting or machine learning analytics or something, right?
Yeah, so what you can do now, you can store your tables in form of a delta tables in data lake, and just like we have seen in the previous class, right? So you can create a unity catalog, you can make your catalogs, and then you can basically read those data points in the form of structured data itself in Databricks, and it is being stored in data lake, right? So you were able to read those data points in Databricks directly in form of unity catalog, but in the backend it is being stored in the data lake only, right? And then you can directly make your Power BI report by using those catalogs instead of like having the need of SQL warehouse kind of, right? So
Okay.
in the, yeah, so that you can do. Okay, so now let's what I will show now. I will try to create delta table, a simple delta table. We will understand the properties of it. We will see how the delta tables can be partitioned. We will see the delta table only. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, hi Abhishek. Delta Lake is related to Databricks, or can we get Delta Lake and uh, get the data
No, no,
from the
it's
Delta
open
Lake?
source. So that is what I shared. That it's not like one second. It's not a proprietary technology. Just to answer your question, it's not like only related to database. It's open source. Yes. So when
Like,
you
can
go
we
to
access the Delta Lake from Data Factory?
yes, so you can access Delta Lake from Data Factory as well. Yes, but you have a link service for it already, which you can use and access it.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you go to Delta Lake, Delta Lake is an open source storage framework that enables building a format lakehouse architecture with compute engine using Spark. So it's a open source basically, and you can get a link service for Delta Lake in Data Factory directly, which I can also show you. So yeah, you can go to Data Factory and then search in the link service Delta Lake. You will see that. Okay. Now this compute is created. Now what I will do is I will go to the mount code. Now we'll mount the container. Let's go to storage account. And mount things we have already done in the past, right? So let me see if the mount point is already there, and I will directly use it instead of creating it again. So I will attach the cluster. RG storage. Do I have a link for this for it? Let me check. Sorry. Yeah. So I can probably use this, which is already mounted. Let me check if it is still working or not. Yeah, it's working. So I will use this, and I will go to my delta table processing notebook. All of this notebook you can access if you just import this tbc file which I have given you in the past. I have shared the same tbc file actually, so uh, I will share this tbc file as well, but like previously as well it was the same tbc file, but if it's different then I will share it again, no problem. And
Yeah,
please,
because
yeah.
in my Delta processing file, like mount location is like employee CSV, file CSV. So I don't know that I have a right DBC.
No. So what you need to do, like in the previous classes, that particular mount code needs to be changed as per your use case, right? So currently, if I go to my mount code, this is input gen to ellipse. So here you need to, so whatever container name you are creating, you need to give your container name, you need to give your storage account name, and you need to give your SAS token key, and then you need to mount, right?
Yeah,
Mm.
but can you go one more time to the Delta table processing?
Yeah,
This is your mount, that's why we are seeing different.
yeah. So here, yeah. So like probably here and there, I'm making some changes in the notebook, so it will not look exactly same. But I have given you this already, I guess. Yeah. So what is not matching? Sorry, I'm not able to get you.
I think that first line, if you go up, scroll up, I was not able to see it.
So
Yeah,
this
this
one,
LS,
yeah,
yeah,
this is just like a normal Linux command which I have just written. It's not
okay.
it's not there probably in your thing. So it's a normal Linux command which I'm using to see the mount point actually. That's all. Yeah. Is it clear?
Yeah.
Yeah. So here now, now what I am, so here now I will check what are the files present in my folder. So here I can write folder. And then these are the file, right? So I will pick this employee file and I will paste it here. Okay. And we have already gone through this syntax of spark.read.format infer schema first row as a header display, all of that we have gone through already, right? So I am using the same command. It's just like we have parameterized it in the beginning and then using the same command. And this particular line of code which I am using, create or replace temp view, going forward when I will talk more about views, right? So there's a separate class which I will take about views, in which I will explain what is the temp view, what is a global view, and what is normal view, right? So I will go through this, but for now we are just creating a view on top of a table. That is what we are doing, right? So currently nothing happened related to delta table. I just read a particular file in a data frame, a Spark data frame. Why it is a Spark data frame? Because I'm using spark.read. That is why that is a Spark data frame, right? And then I'm creating a view on top of it. This is the view which I have created so that we all are comfortable with with SQL, right? So we can directly write SQL on this code. So I'm doing a count star on this employee file now. Okay. And similarly, what I will do, I will read the upsert data as well. So here I will have the upsert data, which I'm also reading. Probably I have it. Let me check. Yeah, so I do have it. So I'm reading upsert data as well. Okay, and make a view on top of it. Okay, so we read the upsert data, we read the employee data, and I am doing a count on this employee data, right? Okay. And now I am creating a database, which is like data vowel. So it's a database, right? So it's like when your Unity catalog is not enabled, and when you just write create database, it creates the database in the Hive metastore, right? So it creates the database in the Hive metastore itself. So here you will. Yeah, so this is community edition. It's X weird a bit. Yeah, so here we are able to see, right? So this is basically created a database over here, because the Unity catalog we haven't enabled, right? So it's like a normal database. It's created a normal database, right? It's in the DBFS location. It's the Databricks file system location, right? It's not related to right now data lake. Okay, so we created a database, normal database. Now I'm creating a table which is a delta table, and I am creating the delta table at this location. So let me give the location of our mount location. So current till now we just read to employee file, right? And then we read the employee file, we read the upsert data. Now I'm creating a delta table. Here you can write delta, you cannot write, if you don't write delta as well, that is also okay, because the default format is delta itself. In Spark runtime less than 7.2, it doesn't create a delta table. So you need to specifically write a delta table, but it is very old version of the cluster. Okay, so it's okay if you don't write the delta as well. And then this partition column is also a choice. So if you partition your data, uh, like you can partition the data, or if you don't want to partition your data, that is also fine, right? But when you have big amount of data, like more than millions of record, then it's a good practice to partition your data, right? And this is the location which I am choosing to create my delta table, and I am using this based on this particular file, based on this particular view which I have created above. I am creating my delta table, okay, on this location. Now, why it's important to partition your data? To segregate your data in a proper manner, okay? So when you have a book, if you segregate that book on based on chapters, right? Your book is, like, you can, if you just say reach out to page number 211, instead of that, if you say that reach out to chapter 10, page number 211, it's, you can easily reach to that page, right? So that is why it's good to partition your data. And how to choose your partition column? So suppose you are dealing with retail industry, for example, Walmart retail industry. Now Walmart has a business everywhere in the world, right? So like in their transaction sales table, like if I create a partition based on country, then it's a good partition, because whenever you are dealing with a transaction, you'll always talk about a country, right? And now what is the next partition you can add? Probably a state. So partition column can be a 2 column, 3 column partition can be there, right? So it's depend upon how, like how you're filtering your data, right? So if you're filtering your data more on corporate or more on country, then you can create a partition in that manner. If you're filtering more on year, like year can be also a good partition, right? So it depends on the project requirement how you partition your data, right? So currently the employee data I have partitioned based on department ID. I will show you how I create, when once I create a data table, that I will show you how it looks. Okay. Yeah, so once you actually write it, currently it's running, but like I will, this is previously I have written it, but this is how it will look, right? So you have all the data is being segregated now. It is partitioned and it's segregated in 20 partition. Why? Because you have 20 department ID, right? In your employee table, you have 20 department ID. So that is why it's segregated now. So if I open class, 1 second, if I go to, yeah, class, Yeah, so if I see this department, right, if I go and see this department, they are this department, right? So that is why um, so whenever so Rachna, you can just stop me and ask questions. Sometimes I mess up on the chat, so it's difficult to read it sometimes, right? So so it's an option. Whenever if I currently am giving this location of um my data lake, right? So currently I'm giving a location of data lake. That is why it's creating the table in data lake itself, right? But if I don't give this location, it will create my delta table in Databricks file system, right? So it will create a delta table in DBFS, in Databricks file system. So either you can create a delta table in DBFS or you can create a table in data lake. But DBFS is not a storage medium. So we generally create a delta table in data lake itself in that case. So you have given a mount location over here, right? So if you don't give the mount location, it will create in the DBFS location because it doesn't know which path you're targeting in that case. Is it clear?
Okay. Mhm.
Yeah. So here, so now suppose if I go to this folder, if I open this employee data, this is the path which I have given right now, right? So these are the data log and these are the files. Now, if I open data log, so once you create delta table, so you will see all of this format delta tables are in the Parquet format. Okay, so if I open this is Parquet format. Okay, and also if I open delta log, right? So this is JSON and CRC file, right? So we don't consume this file, but it's for the log purpose. Okay, so whenever you make any sort of modification in this delta table, right? So suppose uh, like we have two files right now. We have a employee table, we have this employee table, and also we have this suppose upsert data. Now what I will try to do, I want to modify my employee table based on this upsert data. So whenever the employee ID is there, I want to update it, and if it is not there, then I will insert it, right? So that is the modification I want to make. I have already read the upsert data in a data frame, created a view on top of it, right? So now I am making the uh, I am basically making the modification in my employee table, employee delta table based on the view which I have created upsert data. So whenever it's matching, I want to update it. Whenever it's not matching, I will insert it, right? So that is the modification I want to make now. Yeah, so done. Now, if you do describe history, right, you will be able to see the version, the first version, zero version, all of that you will be able to see. So see, you are able to see that Abhishek has done the modification and at what time he has done the modification and what was the version, right? So all of that you can see, and also you can see the like operation which you have made. And when you go to the log, you will be able to see one more JSON CRC file here. So number of time you will update the file, um, so as many time you will that JSON CRC file will be created. So there are two versions, so that is why two JSON CRC file, okay? And then it's keeping the track what are the modification has been done, right? So that track it's keeping, okay? Now suppose if I do select star delta table employee ID 12, okay, then it will give me the latest like latest record what is there, right? So it will give me that. So if you want to see the previous version, so suppose here if I open my upside data, right, 12th employee is became Singh after we done the update. But if before that 12th employee was Milstead, right? So Milstead was the last name, but it got updated. So here you are able to see the Singh. But if you write as of version as of 0, you will be able to see the previous version, which is Singh. Okay. Yeah, so this is the previous version, Milstead. You are able to see Milstead, right? So yeah, so you are able to see different versions. Now, if I do like employee ID, all of this select employee ID, I'm selecting all of this employee ID. Now I will again make one more update on this employee table, for example. Okay, now suppose I am updating all the first name to null, for example, right?
Like, are you using this versioning in real-time application?
Yes, we use the versioning in different real-time situation as well. It is very beneficial to see when the table is getting updated and who is updating it. And if you want to track down that, suppose this was the data yesterday and how it is changing and all of that, not for all the table but for important table, it is very helpful in debugging and also understanding how your data is changing. So we use the versioning, uh, like suppose yesterday this was the record but today this is the record and who changed it, so it helps you for the monitoring purpose. It helps you in real time as well actually. So suppose, yeah, so I updated this particular table, and yeah, so suppose if you again do this, right, and you will see one more JSON CRC file over here because we again there is one more update. Yeah, so there is one more update. Okay, but if I still do this version 1, right, Okay, you are able to see the previous version. Now suppose uh, I don't feel that I want to create multiple versions, right? And I don't want to like retain it. Okay, so there are two things you can do. Suppose like I am updating this table daily, so daily the version is getting created, but I don't want all the version. I just want to keep track of 7 days or 8 days, right? That also can be done. If you don't want to retain any hours, that also can be done, right? So here suppose I don't want to create any hours, right? Like I want to delete the complete history. That you can do by doing a vacuum process. We call it as a vacuum process, in which if you create a vacuum, then it deletes all the previous version and you won't be able to uh, like go to the previous version. That you won't be able to do. So suppose if I query the second version, then I will be able to query it, but if I query the first version, then I won't be able to query it because that is gone. Once I do the vacuuming, it is gone after that. So in real time, we keep the history of the important table, like which we feel that we want to keep it for better tracking and better monitoring. And for rest of them, you can schedule the like vacuuming process to free up your like storage, right? So that you can do.
So question, Abhishek, can you like, delete or can you keep like last 5 updates or something
Yeah,
in that line, not just complete vacuum?
yeah,
Because
you
I
can do it.
understand vacuum is like you wipe out everything.
Yeah, you can do it. Yes. So here I am vacuuming everything by mentioning 0 days, but you can say that you want to keep the 3 days. So accordingly, you can give like 24 into 3, right? So that you can give 72 hours you can give, and then that will give the 3 days of version. So you can anyways play around how many days of version you want to keep.
So,
Okay.
and the moment you execute, from that moment it calculates those hours.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So now if I do the version 1, you won't be able to see the previous version, right? So because that is gone, right? Yeah. So so this is how you can basically do the versioning of the delta table, and then create a multiple version, right? And then do the modification, store the delta table in data lake. All of that you can do. Now what I will do is I will share one recording with you guys. If you can watch it, that's great. If not, like I will cover up for that in the next class, and I will also upload the recording for the today's class and send you this recording, right? So please practice all the 5 classes which we had, Unity Catalog, including Unity Catalog. And then I will share one more recording if you guys can watch it, just to not break the flow, because in weekend we are not having the class. So not to break the flow, I will share one more recording if you can watch it, which is explaining what is external table and managed table and managed table, right? So that I will explain in that class. Okay, guys, so that is what I wanted to cover for today. Please go through it. I will share this particular thing and then go through it, cover it up, and then we'll meet uh, in the next class. Okay. Any doubt, guys? Otherwise, I will end the class now. Thank you so much for joining.